Hello everyone, I am Huseni Kapasi, carrying 22 years of SAP industry knowledge. I have been part of number of SAP implementation and migration. I have done number of assessment for customers' transformation journey to SAP on the RISE. Now I will kick off the part 2 series of CIO imperatives innovating with SAP RISE on Google Cloud. Just a little recap. In part 1, our CTO Paul Lewis had given deep insight on CIO imperatives. Paul has provided observations, insights, and perspective from his conversation with hundreds of technology executives. Following that, Dave shared deeper dive into RISE with SAP, what it is, what it includes, and how it supports the imperative that Paul called out in this session. In part 2 of the series, I will be covering discussion around migration options, best practices, and tooling and accelerator that can help with overall journey. My colleague Chris Hacker later on will be discussing some of the key advantages of running SAP on Google, both from technical and innovation perspective. He will also give insight on Pythian's premier partnership with Google. So with that, let's get into it. Here is the overview of my discussion. Most of the time, organization knows their pain point and struggles, but do not have a clear vision on how to carve their roadmap toward modernization. They often ask these questions like, what are my options? How do I plan and implement? How do I build the business case? What will be my implementation model? What will be the impact to my business, especially my end users? And what will be my team's role in SAP RISE? Many party involved in SAP RISE when we talk about it, and our migration assessment offering. So let's start with what are my options. When it comes to migration decision and flow, a strategy can be simplified as per this chart. As a customer, you can be one of the below landscapes, existing SAP ERP customers or new ERP customers. Further, based upon your business decision, you can plan to move from SAP ECC to SAP ECC. That will be legacy migration to private cloud. At that point, you wanted to get benefit of HANA and SAP RISE platform. You are not going to S4HANA yet, but still you are going from ECC to ECC on HANA on a private cloud. You can go from S4HANA to S4HANA version, and you can do the cloud transformation to private cloud as well. If you are already on a different cloud and you want to go to SAP RISE, you can also avail that option. While as a new customers, you can choose to go to public cloud as a brand new customers, and you also have a choice to go to private cloud as a new customer as well. But if you are existing customer and if you want to go to brownfield or the hybrid approach, you have to go to the private cloud. Now, let's talk about implementation approaches. S4HANA conversion can be implemented using one of the three methods: brownfield approach, smart brownfield. You also heard the terminology called hybrid, bluefield, or selective migrations. It's the same. And third one is greenfield approach. Now, brownfield approach copies complete system and data. It is an existing implemented. You have years of customization, your historical data you wanted to retain, and you don't want to lose your investment of years. Brownfield approach is the right option for you. Now, most famous recently, I'm seeing the trend as people is going through selected data transition. Having said that, they don't want sometimes data, right? Historical data. They have a regulation requirement. For example, they want to keep only 7 years of data. Customer is running SAP system from last 20 years. They want to get rid of 13 years old data. They can archive and keep in the read-only system, but they don't want to carry a load on live system. But they do want to retain all the customizations, all the interface connected. It's a very complex system. Then they are going for selective data migrations when they have a choice of choosing what they want to bring. While giving a greenfield approach, adopt mostly brand new customers, or in case where data migration is hard or your business value wants complete innovations from the day one. Now, I have witnessed and actively participated in many organization decision-making strategy on how to select the right approach. Now, I wanted to talk about this matrix. For example, you answer these questions. I have listed down around 7 questions in a scale of 1 to 10. You answer, and we will find out where you falls. So let's start with the first one is, can you move to S4 in one step? Having said that, you are meeting all the minimum prerequisites of ECC, HP, and all the OS versions. Let's say you said yes, 90%, 9, 10 out of 9, then you put your mark down here on the right-hand side. Can your current processes support long-term strategy? So here, let's say 60% yes, it can support. So you put down marker here. Do you need to carry over all customer application and processes? Most of the time, customer wants to carry forward all the processes. So let's say here 10 out of 8. Do you need to consolidate the number of instances? You put down 9. Yes, I want to consolidate. I don't want to have many instances running around. I want one source of truth, right? One system. Do you need all historical data? It depends upon your industry. I have given an example here, like 9 out of 10. So you put all this marker, and then you will see and average it out where it falls. So that's why I said most of the customers are falling in a selective data migration, because they want something and they don't want something out of that. So these are kind of questions you can ask, and you can get some answer out of that. We will be going a little bit deeper dive into some of these factors in later, but this will just give you some idea about it. Now, how do I plan and implement SAP RISE? So I want to talk about first planning perspective. So when you plan to migrate your SAP system to SAP RISE, backed by GCP framework, you want to make sure that it makes sense for your business and stakeholders are all in sync about the decision. Because it's most of the time, it's not a technology decision. It is a business-driven decision. When you move from your ECC to S4, it's not just a technology upgrade. It's all the functionality change. A lot of business processes will get impacted. We'll talk a little bit detail about what are the finance module, other module get impacted and how. So let's talk about feasibility. Why? Why your business need SAP RISE, right? Why you wanted to go to S4HANA? You need to create a proper business case for that. And how do we do that is we gather all stakeholders, we go to a deep dive about your business processes, and we evaluate current business processes and what are the pain points. We do all the discovery workshops around that. And we also find out what are the business value for S4HANA. And how do we do that is there's a tool called Process Discovery for SAP. You run that tool. It will give you a very high level information about what are the current functional modules and what is the new innovation in S4HANA. Also, there is a tool called TCO analysis can be used. And also, if I go to SAP RISE on GCP Cloud, what are my key benefits of GCP? Google Cloud brings on table. In a later, Chris will give you more detail about what are the benefits GCP will bring on table. So those are on a feasibility side. Let's talk about compatibility. Why? Now, for example, I have 30 company codes and I'm using only 5 company codes. So most of the time business says, why I carry dead load? I don't need the 25 company codes. I just want 5. So all these kind of factors plays a key role in your decision making, whether you want to go to brownfield or whether you want to stay on a greenfield or hybrid approach. Now, during that compatibility phase, we need to also consider custom codes. We have a lot of custom codes in the SAP ECC system. We need to list it down that how many are currently in use, what will be impacted when we go to S4HANA, and develop a complete roadmap on above code remediation path. Also, we need to look all the interfaces connected in the system. And we use SAP Readiness Check report, where it provides you a complete list where you have to evaluate all the lists and see what are the things are getting affected in your functionality, current functionality. Now, additional factors is how I can improvise my landscape later I go on SAP RISE. Do I get benefit out of SAP BTP framework? There are a lot of new innovations out there. So how can I plan my roadmap around that? So once you review your process discovery for SAP, and also there was an old tool, Transformation Navigator, which used to give you 10,000 feet above overview about where your industry stands, what are the upcoming innovation is happening. For example, you're in the retail industry, what are the new retail innovation is happening in SAP. You get all those information, and based upon that, you can come up with your organization strategy about innovations. And now, finally, preparation. As I take, preparation is a very key. Now you need to evaluate all your simplification items based upon your S/4HANA readiness check report. You need to also check your data. Is there any old data in your system you can start archiving or start deleting? Most of the time I have observed two tables, SOFCON1 and GLPCA. Those are the two tables most of the time hold 40% of your data. So you can come up with those kind of strategy preparations, how you can reduce your data footprints. So when you go to S/4HANA, you don't have to spend a lot of time in buying the hardware infrastructure and memories. And also you lie down all your hardware scale up and conversion, all the performances. So you can evaluate your S/4HANA readiness check, S/4HANA sizing reports, and based upon that, you can define your target architecture. And automation tools. Automation tools play a key roles in mitigating risk and also human errors. For example, if you go from ECT to S/4HANA, you have security roles need to be changed. So at Pythian, we have our proprietary tool where we run, it automatically map out all your ECC role to S/4HANA, what are the authorization object need to be changed. So you get all automated listed down. It will reduce tremendous amount of work from your end. Also, we have a fix my code tools where it's does a lot of automation of 40 to 60% of HANA code it automates. So those kind of tool can be utilized based upon the need. So now let's talk about implementation framework. Now we have adopted SAP Activate methodology in our framework. What we have done at Pythian, we engraved SAP's best practices, industry best practices, and all of the years of experience of all SAP migration we have performed. We have consolidated that into this framework, which allows us to take out the risk of this migration and deliver the migration faster and better. At Pythian, we leverage our migration tools along with SAP to automate and standardize the common tasks that have to be done during the migration. So whether that's building, developing network, cloud infrastructure, whether it's running the various SAP post-migration tasks, we are able to take these steps and turn them into predictive, repeatable, and well-documented steps. Now, next thing I want to do is just to take you a little deeper into what is our methodology looks like. So in phase one, we build sandbox system, copy from production. We develop detail level project plan and RACI metrics to make sure that everyone knows their role. We lay down first the cloud foundation in the native cloud or working with SAP. We work on what does the connectivity looks like from your on-premises site into the cloud. What are the configuration setting, the security setting, and what are the templates for these builds? We develop script and then we move into the next phase. So while we go from sandbox to the development to the quality, we find out all the roadblocks, we optimize our process, we build the solid run book along with it. So we don't want any surprises when the production live happens. We mitigate all the risk and we smoothen out the process. Now, along with that, we also build the solid detail level project plan, along with all the, sometimes goes in down the minute level planning about it at what hour, what's going to happen. For example, ramp down, ramp up, and all the post task, working with SAP support for their post task. So we fine tune all the process and make sure that customer has a full transparency along with us when we execute this migration and make sure that we have 100% success rate. Now, I would like to talk about S/4HANA impact and remediation. So when we move to SAP RISE, we need to consider impact on SAP ecosystem and interfaces. Some SAP systems like SAP BW, SAP PIPO, SLT, HANA Sidecar, and many more. There are table changes in SAP S/4HANA, hence all the affected tables will be identified. BW and HANA data targets will be remapped with the new tables. In case of field name change, transformations and HANA procedure will be updated with the new field names. Now, if we take example of PIPO, we have to realign the BAPI to SAP S/4HANA structure. For SLT configuration change, data transfer job will be created to extract data from S/4HANA. So now, and there are some interfaces we need to consider as well. Now, second point is what will be impact on a user, end user. So most critical challenge is to bring all business units and their end users on board. As when you migrate to S/4HANA, a lot of business process along with screen change and T-code change happens, and it requires them to adapt these new changes. To remediate this situation, right after sandbox migration, end user training workshop need to be conducted and proper documentation need to be prepared. Or else, many organizations, skill set gap is an issue. When any new projects conducted, it creates a skill set gap. And we wanted to make sure that proper training documentation is prepared so the skill set gap doesn't happen. Now, next point is faster period end closing. S/4HANA leads to faster end period closing through faster database and predictive analytics. Most of the cases we have found around 20% of time is reduced in MRP closing. Now, next point is SAP Fiori. SAP Fiori provides an easier, more intuitive way to run SAP applications in your organizations with a focus on intelligent, consistent, and integrated user interface. SAP Fiori can help you redefine the way you work in age of digital transformation. Now, as a brownfield conversion, the functionality which are currently being used require mapping to the relevant new functionality. As SAP has upgraded the earlier functionalities, the functionalities replacing currently being used functionality would be changed as part of this project. You can have your P&L by profit center and business area, new GL now integrated with special purpose accounting, profit center accounting, and many other as feature pack solutions. Now everything is clubbed into a single ledger. Now asset accounting was more like an add-on. It was not integrated earlier. Now it's completely integrated and there are no separate table for asset transactions. If you look about account-based COPA is now integrated in S/4HANA. Earlier, if you want to add any characteristic other than provided by SAP or you keeping only COPA, so COPA reporting was possible. But now it is integrated with single table SE Doka. So those are the great features it provides. Now I want to talk about what are the roles, organizational roles in SAP RISE. When we think about RISE, it's really kind of shared responsibility model because you do have multiple parties that are involved. And so here, when we got a high level breakdown of what does a RISE solution really looks like. There is a clear distinction between the role of SAP RISE and partner services. As its foundation is the underlying infrastructure, which is in the case Google Cloud in our scenario here. As highlighted, service management, basic operation, system restarts, install, general housekeeping, system copies, database management, infrastructure operations, like backup restore, server management, storage, hardware, those are part of SAP RISE services. Now, what falls under partner is AMS services, functional services. And also there is a gap arises between, since SAP is only responsible for housekeeping jobs in client 000, your production clients housekeeping, as well as your transports, your output management, your post and pre-refresh task, those are SAP is not responsible. That falls under either customer or partner can provide their services. Now, I want to talk about migration assessment offering by Pythian. As a very high level, we gather all the information from your landscape information like your application data, statistics, your usage of custom codes, your HANA readiness check output, your EWA report. So those are all the prerequisites we ask, and we study those reports on behalf of you completely. Once we study that, we do a deep analysis call with your functional stakeholder, your finance, your SD module stakeholders. We do a workshop with them where we understand your current business processes, your current pain point, and we gather all the information from your application owners. Same time, we also do a session with your infrastructure team, your basis team, your ABAP person. We evaluate how many ABAP custom codes are getting used in the last 6 months and prepare a report about what will be the impact if we move to S/4HANA. And at the same time, we also prepare your target landscape. Once we get all your S/4HANA sizing reports, we map it out to your target landscape, what is as is and what is to be architecture. Once we get all this data, we take a couple weeks to digest and prepare a fully complete proposal for you. Now, what our proposal will include? So now our proposal will include migrations, conversion approach, ACC functionality mapping, SAP HANA sizing recommendations, custom code analysis, high-level project plans, timelines, our key assumptions, what are the automation tool we'll be using. So very complete deliverables we present to you in our proposal. So now with that, I'm concluding my sessions. Next, I'm handing over to Chris Hacker. He will give you enough insight on Google architecture, benefit of putting SAP RISE on Google, and all those good things. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Chris Hacker, an SAP Cloud Solutions Architect with Pythian Services, and I'll be taking this last section in our series on SAP RISE for HANA on Google Cloud to wrap up our session today. And cover a few topics here of relevance. Now looking at the infrastructure side and the infrastructure options you have for the SAP RISE program. Looking at why the hyperscale cloud platform makes sense, why it was chosen by SAP, get into the Google and SAP very close working partnership and investments that the companies have made in each other relative to this program. Then we'll get into some of the cloud capabilities and Google specific capabilities and strengths, as well as customer adoption to date. And then look at why specifically you should choose to run your SAP landscape on Google Cloud Platform. A few points of differentiation to consider around global networking, security, resiliency of the infrastructure and tool sets, and then finally, the innovation capabilities and the points of integration and data insights that can be driven once you have the SAP environment coupled with Google's technology and platform. A few notes then to close on the Pythian Google Cloud Premier Partnership and how we might help you in this journey as a partner, both for the migration and adoption, as well as future state benefits such as data insights. SAP has adopted a cloud-first strategy for all of its development, for all of its portfolio of offerings going forward. That includes the SAP RISE program initiatives, both on private cloud edition as well as public cloud edition, as well as all of its native cloud offerings are all the mode of delivery for the SAP portfolio going forward. There's reasons why you should consider migrating and running your SAP on hyperscaler cloud, independent of RISE, but certainly that's the reasons that SAP is adopted. Number one, SAP HANA adoption is an opportune time really to reevaluate how you run and manage your SAP infrastructure going forward. In the past, the SAP landscapes required outlays in hardware, storage, and compute, and making those capital investments to maintain your SAP environment and scale with your needs. With HANA moving the database to in-memory, the memory ratios and the significance of the platform that's required to run in-memory computing and derive those values can be really substantial. So this allows you, instead of making and trying to guess at your capacity and deal with scalability issues, you can convert those investments in the future now to OpEx as part of the all-in subscription model versus large CapEx expenditures. And then the key thing is flexible capacity on demand. The hyperscalers excel at capacity on demand. because of the size and depth of their offerings. And really then when it comes to deploying new technology, both for development, for project scope, there's no better way to tap into those resources than the hyperscaler cloud versus the old traditional model of having to go out and procure and provision new servers and try to estimate the capacity as your needs change over time. So the ability to scale for your in-memory consumption with HANA as it grows in the future will be a key feature you'll find with the hyperscaler cloud. The other part of this consideration is the fact that S/4HANA is a change in technology that increases your need for new staffing, new training within your organization. If you've been running the environment, you've been supporting the traditional hardware architecture, the traditional basis layers, there's a learning curve, there's amount of retraining that would be undertaken unless you choose to opt to this service delivery model that RISE entails. And ultimately, the key to this platform with RISE and running that on a hyperscaler cloud is to position your business to leverage multiple types of integration, multiple opportunities for innovation, and rich sets of services and cloud native tools that are available really on each of the hyperscaler providers. Google, AWS, and Azure each have sets of robust offerings that really help you extend your SAP. And for the purpose of this consideration, again, this is focused on Google Cloud from our perspective, and a lot of that has to do with the key benefits and value that they can drive for data analytics, machine learning, as well as security and compliance frameworks that are hard to deliver on your own. So all these values will be touched on in subsequent slides to give you a better idea of why you would run your environment ultimately on Google Cloud. Number one, SAP themselves run Google Cloud extensively. They've evaluated Google Cloud platform and capabilities, and they've identified where these technologies that Google has on offer equate to performance increases for their suite of applications, a very high infrastructure availability, and then savings compared to legacy infrastructure deployments that range in the 20-25% range. So today there's 3,000 SAP systems, 8,000 virtual instances on Google Cloud already, and that number continues to grow with the continued adoption. As well, SAP is running Google Cloud extensively for their further development of S/4HANA. So their strategic development of S/4HANA offerings and products is on Google Cloud with over 20,000 developers, thousands of VMs today. We have a number of developer and demo environments that are today hosted for SAP on Google. We have the only private data center that SAP runs for Frankfurt in Germany for both SAP and customers is running on Google Cloud, as well as a number of externally available solutions that are running on GCP for a number of SAP customers. So in a nutshell, all of these represent an endorsement and a strong investment by SAP in Google Cloud's platform and its technologies going forward. At the same time, Alphabet, Google's parent company, huge multinational global firm and footprint, has moved and adopted S/4HANA as well. So as you yourself are an SAP customer, Google themselves is aware of all the complexities and the requirements that it takes to run S/4HANA for the business, and they continue to deploy new technologies on their platform that run SAP. So I think in a nutshell, the combination of both companies using each other's services can accrue significant value to you as a customer and give you the confidence that there's a reason for considering Google Cloud. As these customers have done, this is a sampling of various industries, various sizes of customers across the globe that have already deployed SAP on Google prior to the RISE initiative, as well as those who, under the current state of RISE, have selected Google as their cloud provider choice for underpinning their S4 RISE journey. The key thing here with Google as a provider that's differentiated really is the type of offerings that they have. Unlike the other providers, hyperscalers, in some ways, these are very high demand, high usage global applications by default. And what Google's done is they've developed all these tools and infrastructure that are now 100% machine learning across the portfolio. They serve 9 billion user applications and counting. It's a global footprint. It's a very robust environment. And all of these types of applications and requirements that they've innovated through these various products have high demands that really exceed what SAP requires in many cases. But what Google has done is they've taken that set of technologies, that set of tools with APIs for extension that really equate to an integrated supercomputer for these billions of users of applications at high speed, high data throughput, very stability required and availability required solutions, and they've delivered those now to customers for the enterprise. So it's not only about running your compute, not only about running your SAP architecture and providing storage, it's really about providing a rich tool set that's integrated with a number of capabilities around network development, machine learning, IoT, identity and security management. So it becomes a full enterprise set of value wrapped around just your traditional SAP workloads. So your S4 application becomes a subset of what Google does every day for its customer base. From a cloud strategy perspective, why should your business then run SAP on Google Cloud? So looking a little bit more specifically at some of these high points and what that means to you. From an operational perspective, the landscapes are 100% virtualized, and that capability, the fact that it's no longer dependent and decouples you from the hardware itself, means you can spin up your landscapes with data, with configuration for SAP in a repeatable manner. You can do that very quickly. You can deploy a virtual, global landscape that has HA and DR, regionalized HA and DR failover capabilities without IP reconfiguration, improved backup and restore capabilities with APIs, live migration capabilities to reduce downtime, and then support for automation with the development manager and other tool sets that really allow you to accelerate how you roll out new instances and update your environments moving forward, both for SAP and for ancillary systems. And then coupling that with a robust cloud native monitoring platform. I would encourage you to look under the covers at Google's technologies and how they differentiate and deliver each of these categories. But at the end of the day, it creates a much more robust and capable environment than what you would traditionally have in a legacy data center or colo environment. And then from a commercial perspective, the idea is that you have more efficiency built in when you are able to right-size the environment and not pre-buying your capacity, but scale your environment up and down with your needs, a key feature of the Google Cloud Platform, as well as reducing your infrastructure and operational costs significantly. This allows for reducing, in turn, the system outages and the amount of downtime, and then provisioning. So rapid provisioning, lower cost of support, and ability to right-size your consumption resources together add up to a much more efficient enterprise model overall when taken as a whole than a lot of cases we've seen with on-premise environments. And then the open source approach that SAP, that Google takes is less of a vendor lock-in event than some of the proprietary technologies that AWS and other cloud providers have. And finally, the SAP Cloud Acceleration Program for moving your SAP environments to cloud. Google invests significantly in the project as part of the incentive for RISE to modernize your SAP systems. They'll offset a significant amount of the migration costs as well as the initial commitment to infrastructure. All of those add up to commercial, cost-effective considerations that you'll want to look into further. And then innovation. SAP innovation and data innovation are key focuses for Pythian Services, our company. And for that reason, we focus very heavily on our Google Cloud partnership. We believe that Google has truly leading innovation in areas. The same tools that I showed on a previous slide that underpin all of their service offerings are available to you. And then they've developed HANA-specific connectors, APIs, and data management tools such as Cortex framework for pulling that data, your operational data out of SAP, out of HANA, into BigQuery and data flow to drive cross-industry insights. And we'll get into that slightly more in the next couple of slides. But the idea is to unlock your SAP data, take it out of an SAP-centric system, and then start to leverage broader capabilities in an environment that's not hardware intensive because it's based on consumption. It's based on just paying for the queries, leveraging Google's infrastructure, paying for the queries that you run, and what you do with your HANA software and data. Ultimately, the advanced data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning capabilities combined offer a robust opportunity and the biggest opportunity for digital innovation and transformation beyond just running your S4 environment in the future. A couple points on security and global networking. These are two areas that Google excels at. Number one, over 80% of the entire world's internet traffic traverses Google's network. This is very critical because what it means is you have a much more seamless, robust network infrastructure to leverage, particularly if you're a global provider, you have multiple regions of the world or geographies to support, than the other hyperscalers have the luxury of. So this premium network capability offers a number of benefits and connectivity issues that you won't see with the other offerings. Another key offering that's unique to Google is encryption in transit and at rest by default. These are features that I've seen often when I was working with AWS, requested by customers for SAP for one reason or another to meet compliance. But ultimately, having those by default really addresses a significant leg up on meeting those compliance and audit requirements that customers have for security purposes. Resilience of the infrastructure is another key point. Everybody has SAP in production that needs to be able to have it be responsive and scale and have minimum downtime. Regardless of what level of downtime your business needs, Google can meet that requirement. A live migration is a key capability that's unique to Google now for moving your SAP workloads for planned maintenance or unplanned downtime, and automatic restarts are part of that solution. So essentially, that live migration allows you to get to near zero downtime, even for planned maintenance downtime. Very essential for businesses that have a true 24/7 SAP environment. And then back to the leading innovation. As a leading innovator, Google has a number of capabilities here that we've touched on. So BigQuery is a petabyte scale serverless option that it provides you as a service, a landing spot and a platform for all of your data analytics that can be powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. So BigQuery as a landing spot for SAP data is truly a feature that can add value to your implementation. So once you go live with S/4HANA, you start to generate new data volumes in SAP. You can use the Cortex framework or other customized approaches, bring that data into Google, and then start to leverage those tool sets, those rich tool sets for machine learning, just as Google has to operate on your SAP data and start to generate insights. So it's all about extending SAP with Google's tool sites to get more business value out of your environment, which is one of the biggest challenges for many large businesses today. The end state is to achieve a Google and SAP combined platform that can deliver more value than just a hosting provider or an infrastructure solution can. So number one is your SAP applications business process is basically coupled with the ability to pull in, start to leverage Google data, marketing platform data, as well as other third-party data, and then apply those technical tools to achieve real business transformation, to achieve a data-driven approach to your consumption in the future. It's all about not just the SAP environment, not just having some place to run and host your S4 landscape, your SAP-centric environment. It's really about an opportunity to modernize SAP systems and your applications to make them more efficient and then start to leverage the data that comes out of them. So basically calling it supercharging your business data, taking your HANA data that you're generating every day, pulling that into a tool like BigQuery or others, and then starting to understand better your customers, your business trends, supply and demand, and data that extends beyond SAP. And finally, automating your business processes with machine learning gives you the same rich capabilities and insights that SAP, the Google drives every day. Google Cloud is truly production ready at this point. All the enterprise, the hyperscalers have reached a level of maturity and capabilities that are production ready for SAP. So that shouldn't be a question in your mind. It's really about what additional value you can get from that platform once you get S4, once your S4 migration is done. So we have an enterprise level solution with Google that takes in a number of areas and provides those as a one-stop shop for not only S4, but your future growth. And it's delivered by a global partner ecosystem, a rich ecosystem that includes Pythian Services. And as one of those certified providers, ultimately as a Google Premier partner, Pythian is also an SAP Service Authorized Partner for RISE. And ultimately, we're well positioned, I believe, to assist you in any phase of your journey if you'd like to further explore both migration assistance or how to unlock your data from S4HANA and Google going forward. We're well positioned to do that. As well as a partner, we can help you leverage the migration incentives that Google offers for offsetting your migration cost and migrating into the Google platform. With that, thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate you watching our series. If you were not unable to watch part 1 of the series, the URL is here. I encourage you to delve into the intro to the RISE program, as well as CIO and CTO insights and considerations that you may find interesting. Thank you.